What's up, guys? There are many ways that the NFL acknowledges greatness, such as the All-Decade Team, All-Pro Team, and of course the Pro Bowl. However, they don't have any of these special teams to acknowledge incompetence, terrible play, and a lack of success at the NFL level. There will never be an official all-disappointment or all-time draft bust team. But here at TPS, we're always looking for ways to change things up and give you something new. If one were to pick up an entire team full of draft busts, what would it look like? I'm Jason Biondo, and today we present the NFL All-Draft Bust team. And don't forget to leave your video ideas down in the comments below. We're looking and we'll give you a shout out, and you get to be famous. So who would not want a shout out in the video? Don't forget to subscribe to TPS and put on your notifications because we post videos every single day. Tomorrow's a new video, today's a new video, yesterday was a new video, 5 years from now, new video. So you should definitely subscribe. Offense, quarterback, Ryan Leaf. He wasn't taken first overall like David Carr, Jamarcus Russell, or Tim Couch. But Ryan Leaf unquestionably entered the NFL with far more hype than either of those guys. After the Indianapolis Colts took future Hall of Famer Peyton Manning with the top pick in 1998, the San Diego Chargers took Leaf. Both were considered can't-miss prospects. They were 1A and 1B. The Chargers traded up for the number 2 pick and would happily take the remaining guy. And at the time, it didn't matter which one. While Leaf's NFL career was a disaster from the very beginning, he had a hot temper and became strongly disliked among his teammates. He clashed with the media. He reportedly played golf when he was supposed to practice and study. You know, the usual. Leaf's career was almost marred by a shoulder injury. He played just 2 seasons with the Chargers and 1 with the Dallas Cowboys, finishing with 14 touchdowns, 36 interceptions, and just 4 wins in his 21 career starts. He was out of the NFL shortly after the 2001 season. Running back, KI-JANA Carter. There have been plenty of big-time running back draft busts over the years, but KI-JANA Carter takes the cake here. That's because he was the first overall selection by the Cincinnati Bengals in 1995. Unfortunately, Carter just couldn't stay healthy. His career was derailed by wrist, knee, and shoulder injuries. And even when he was on field, Carter just couldn't produce much in the backfield. In 4 seasons with the Bengals, Carter averaged a mere 3.3 yards per carry and totaled 747 yards and 16 touchdowns. Simply not enough for a first overall selection. Wide receiver, Charles Rogers. The Detroit Lions drafted the Michigan State product with the number 2 pick in the 2003 draft. And who went right after Rogers? Some perennial Pro Bowler named Andre Johnson, who awaits his induction into Canton. The same could not be said about Rogers. Rather, the complete opposite, actually. Rogers played just 15 games over a 3-year span, totaling 36 receptions for 440 yards and 4 touchdowns. Wide receiver, Troy Williamson. The Minnesota Vikings traded superstar wide receiver Randy Moss to the Oakland Raiders, and in return they acquired the 7th overall pick in the 2005 draft. Many used that pick on South Carolina wideout Troy Williamson. The 6'1" Williamson lasted just 3 seasons in Minnesota. He totaled 79 receptions for 1,067 yards and 3 touchdowns. Williamson played 2 seasons with the Jaguars, but was out of the NFL after the 2009 season. Tight end, Kellen Winslow II. Kellen Winslow Sr. was a 5-time Pro Bowler and is enshrined in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Unfortunately, the younger Kellen Winslow wasn't able to follow in his father's footsteps. Winslow II was drafted 6th overall by the Cleveland Browns in 2004. So as you can tell, it's gonna go great. 3 years after he led Miami to a national championship, and you take away his lone Pro Bowl season in 2007, where he recorded 1,106 receiving yards, Winslow's NFL career was quite a disappointment. Winslow would play for 4 teams throughout his career, and he finished with 469 catches for 5,236 yards and 25 touchdowns. We have to factor in that he was a 6th overall pick. Tight ends are rarely taken that early. It's why Winslow was looked as the biggest bust at the position, at least in our opinion, of course. Fullback, Tommy VARDELL. Browns head coach Bill Belichick drafted the Stanford product 9th overall in 1992. VARDELL spent 4 seasons with the Browns. He did rush for a respectable 644 yards and 3 touchdowns in his sophomore year, but otherwise VARDELL was quite unproductive. He finished with a mere 1,427 rushing yards and averaged 3.5 yards per carry in his 8-year career. Offensive tackle, Jason Smith. The St. Louis Rams took the Baylor product with the number 2 pick in 2009, right after the Lions selected Matthew Stafford. After his dominant showing in the NFL Combine, the hype was through the roof for Smith. Well, it just didn't pan out for Smith. A concussion derailed his rookie season, and the Rams tried him out in different positions on the O-line. Smith just couldn't find it, and he was traded to the New York Jets in 2012. 1 year later, he was out of the NFL. Offensive tackle, Tony MANDARICH. Hands down, the biggest offensive lineman draft bust in NFL history. You know the story. Sports Illustrated called MANDARICH the best offensive lineman ever. The Green Bay Packers take him 2nd overall in 1989. The other 4 guys taken in the top 5 became Hall of Famers: Troy Aikman, Barry Sanders, Derek Thomas, and Deion Sanders. teams. The 6'5" MANDARICH held out immediately and didn't sign a deal until days before his rookie season. He was full of himself and said he wasn't like other players and that he was quote-unquote Tony MANDARICH. Well, MANDARICH never lived up to expectations and was cut after the 1992 season. Center Steve Everett. It seems like the NFL's best centers these days are either undrafted or taken in one of the later rounds. But Michigan product Steve Everett was an exception. The Browns took him 14th overall in the 1993 draft. Everett wasn't terrible by any means. He had a fairly decent 8-year career in the NFL, but being such a high draft pick for a center, more was expected of him. He was never a Pro Bowler and wound up playing for 3 different franchises in his brief career. Guard Luke Joeckel. The Jacksonville Jaguars took the Texas A&M standout with the 2nd overall pick in 2013, but they simply wound up regretting it. Joeckel missed most of his rookie year due to an ankle injury. He returned in 2014 but became a huge liability on the O-line. The Jaguars tried using him in different positions on the O-line, but Joeckel just never found that star-like form we saw in college. Guard Robert Gallery. The 2004 NFL draft class is one of the greatest ever, plain and simple. But Robert Gallery, whom the Oakland Raiders took 2nd overall, is not on the long list of 04 prospects who went on to become perennial Pro Bowlers. The Iowa product earned a perfect 9.0 draft prospect rating, but that number proved to be way off. Gallery spent 7 years in Oakland but never materialized into a Pro Bowler. The Raiders passed on the likes of Phillip Rivers, Ben Roethlisberger, D'Angelo Hall, Larry Fitzgerald, and Sean Taylor. Yikes. Special teams. Kicker Russell Erxleben. If you're going to draft a kicker in one of the early rounds, especially the first, he better be a Pro Bowler. The New Orleans Saints drafted this guy with the number 11 selection in 1979, and everybody questioned the pick at the time. Believe us, the Saints special teams were just fine and definitely not bad enough to warrant taking a kicker this early. He missed a handful of big kicks throughout his time in New Orleans, and they would later draft Mr. Reliable Morton Anderson with the 86th pick in 1982. Erxleben struggled so much as a kicker that he later switched positions and became a punter. He attempted just 8 field goals in his career, and he made only 4 of them. Punter B.J. Sander. The Green Bay Packers surprisingly used the number 87 pick in the 2004 draft on Ohio State punter B.J. Sander. Since when is it hard finding a guy who can kick 50-something yards to the point where you have to draft one so early? Well, Sander was only with the Packers for 2 years, and he was the starting punter for just the 2005 season. Worst of all, he only averaged 39.2 yards per punt. Sander was out of the NFL shortly after. Fun fact, the San Francisco 49ers actually found a Pro Bowl punter in the same draft class. His name? Andy Lee. The 3-time Pro Bowler was taken in the 6th round, 188th overall. Yeah. Defensive end, Courtney Brown. Yep, another Cleveland Brown makes the list. After dominating at the college level for Penn State, Courtney Brown was taken 1st overall by the Browns in 2000. He looked solid in his rookie year, but injuries marred Brown in the 2001 campaign. He only appeared in 5 games. Brown was never able to reach his full potential. He was out of the NFL after the 2006 season and had just 19 sacks in 61 games. Defensive end, Vernon Gholston. The New York Jets looked to bolster their defense and selected Ohio State defensive end Vernon Gholston with the top pick. Now this is one guy who just seemed like a sure bet. He had all the tools and skill set to be a perennial Pro Bowler in the NFL. But once his career started, the Jets decided he didn't really fit their mold on defense. He was used on special teams in his rookie year. When Rex Ryan became the new head coach in 2009, the Jets decided not to use Gholston much. They already had plenty of quality defensive linemen to build around. Gholston didn't record a single sack in his NFL career, and the Jets cut ties with him in 2010. He tried out for the Rams and Bears, but never landed the job. Defensive tackle, Steve Entman. The Indianapolis Colts drafted him with the 1st overall pick in the 1992 draft. He was a superstar at Washington and had all the makings to be one of the NFL's next great pass rushers. Unfortunately, he suffered serious knee and neck injuries, which ultimately ruined his career. He played just 3 years for the Colts and had stops in Miami and Washington as well, and he finished with 8 sacks in his short career. Defensive tackle, Amobi Okoye. The Houston Texans had taken future Pro Bowl pass rush Mario Williams with the top pick in 2006, but they wanted to beef up that defensive line even more, and so they took Louisville product Amobi Okoye with the 10th overall selection in 2007. He showed promise with 5.5 sacks in his rookie year, but that was practically it. He never reached those numbers again and wound up playing just 4 years with the Texans before they released him in 2011. He had a brief 2-year stop in Chicago. Okoye finished with just 16 sacks in his 6-year career. Linebacker Brian Bosworth. With the 1st pick in the 1987 supplemental draft, the Seattle Seahawks took 6'2" Oklahoma linebacker Brian Bosworth. He was a 2-time Butkus Award winner and led the Sooners to a national championship in 1985. Bosworth would only last bits of 3 seasons in the NFL, unfortunately. A shoulder injury ruined his career in the 1989 season, and and he finished with just 4 sacks. Linebacker Aaron Curry, the 2009 Butkus Award winner, went 4th overall to the Seattle Seahawks in 2009. Curry could have been part of that historically dominant Legion of Boom defense, but it wasn't meant to be. Curry only spent 3 years with the Seahawks, and he totaled just 5.5 sacks. He spent 2 seasons with the Oakland Raiders, but couldn't revive his career. Curry retired before the start of the 2013 season. Linebacker Trev Alberts. My God, were the Colts horrible at drafting before finally hitting a home run with the Peyton Manning pick in 1998. The Colts selected Nebraska linebacker Trev Alberts with the number 5 selection in the 1994 draft. He won the 1993 Butkus and Jack Lambert Awards and looked poised for a fine career in the NFL. But Alberts lasted just 3 years in the NFL, unable to stay healthy and productive. He finished with just 4 sacks and 1 interception in his very short NFL career. Cornerback Justin Gilbert. So many Pro Bowlers and franchise stars have come out of the 2014 NFL Draft. Aaron Donald, Odell Beckham Jr., Khalil Mack. The list goes on and on and on. The Browns wasted their 2 first-round picks in this stacked class. The first was on Oklahoma State corner Justin Gilbert, whom they took with the 8th selection. The other was Johnny Manziel. Gilbert just lasted 2 seasons in Cleveland before they gave up and sent him to the Pittsburgh Steelers in 2016. Gilbert was unable to regain his old college form, and he was suspended for all of 2017 after violating the NFL's substance abuse policy. Cornerback D. Milner. Having traded All-Pro Darrelle Revis to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, the Jets were looking to replace their franchise player. And so they drafted Milner 9th overall in 2013. But Milner just couldn't stay healthy, and when he was on the field, he just didn't produce enough. He played just 21 games over a 3-year span, and the Jets released him during a frustrating 2016 season. Strong safety Mossy Cade. The San Diego Chargers drafted the University of Texas safety with the number 6 selection in 1984, but he single-handedly destroyed his own career. Cade spent 15 months in prison for sexual assault. He never played a game for the Chargers. He played just 2 seasons in Green Bay. After coming out of prison, Cade was signed by the Minnesota Vikings, but the team received so much backlash that they had to cut him 3 days later. Free safety Ricky Dixon. The Cincinnati Bengals took Dixon with the number 5 pick in the 1988 draft. His lone career highlights was reaching Super Bowl 23 in his rookie season, where the Bengals would fall to Joe Montana's San Francisco 49ers. Dixon spent just 5 seasons with the Bengals and was never able to reach his full potential. He was later traded to the Los Angeles Rams. Dixon played 1 year there and was out of the NFL shortly after. Oh well, at least he played in the Super Bowl. What changes would you make in our list here? Join me in the comment section below. Make sure to follow TPS and me on social media. We post great content all the time. Follow us on Instagram, follow TPS on Twitter, subscribe to my YouTube channel. I make videos every single week and they're really entertaining, so if you want more of me, you should go there. Subscribe to TPS because we post videos every single day. Every day's a new video. Why would you not want sports content every day? Come on. If you like this video, give it a like. It takes 1 click right down there. Smash that like button, or tap it. Just give it a nice click. You don't have to smash it. Just be gentle, you know? It's delicate. Of course, thank you so much for watching. I'm Jason Biondo, and I'll see you next time.
My knee.